Hello, magical people. How is it going out there? My name is Meg Moonbeam and doing a very different kind of special live show today on the USA election astrology predictions. Okay. So this is something that I actually meant to put out like weeks ago, but due to some personal events that have been going on in my life, I've been delayed and then delayed and then delayed and then delayed. And finally, today I was like, I have to do this today or else I'm not even going to put it out there. So here we are. We're doing it. Thank you guys so much for joining me live or in the replay. We are multi-streaming on the Meg Moonbeam and Beyond Mystic YouTube, Rumble, and X channels. So before we get into it, please like, share, subscribe to the Meg Moonbeam YouTube and Rumble, as well as the Beyond Mystic YouTube and Rumble. And my personal astrology consultations, if you'd like to have a personal reading with me, are available over at consultations.beyondmystic.net. And I'm currently booking into March of 2025. So if you'd like to have a reading with me in 2025, you can go to the link below and book in. And I also want to mention that my lovely soul sister Ashala has just released this amazing dowsing workshop on the Beyond Mystic Academy, Pendulum 101, and it's getting rave reviews. We're so proud of Ashala with this new offering. So you can go check that out over on the Beyond Mystic Academy. I'm feeling so much energy around this topic, around this time. This is a really, really big subject when we're looking at, the most, I was going to say most important country in the world. That's not the right word I want to use. The most influential country in the world. Sorry, guys, I'm going to turn my phone off. Having an election. And this is what I'm going to be sharing with you guys today is part mundane astrology. So mundane astrology is the kind of astrology when we look at the astro of countries or businesses, world events. So that's mundane astrology. We're also going to be looking at personal astrology. So I'll just do a little overview. I'm not exactly sure how long today's video is going to be. Maybe it's an hour, maybe it's 2 hours, maybe it's 4 hours. I have no idea. Okay, I'm going to try to make this as easy to understand as possible, because when we do mundane astrology like this, it can get quite complex. There's a lot of different layers to the astrology, to the astrology to begin with, but there's a lot of moving parts as well. We're going to be looking at the astrology chart for the United States of America. We're going to be looking at its transit chart. We're going to be looking at its solar return chart. We're going to be looking at Kamala Harris, Tim Waltz, Donald Trump, and J.D. Vance's chart. Hi, Carla. Thank you for joining us. Carla over at Ascension Organites. Go give her a follow. What else are we going to be looking at? I have a whole bunch of charts to the election day chart, the inauguration day chart. So you guys are about to see a whole lot of charts, okay? And I'm going to make my official predictions, my official astrological conclusions for this election cycle, okay? So, oh my God, where do I even begin? So I just want to start off by saying that I am trying my best here, and I always find it a little bit challenging as an intuitive, as a psychic medium. I am an astrologer, but I'm also an intuitive psychic medium. I always find it a little bit challenging when, I'm close to a situation. So I'm sure all of you guys can relate. There's so much energy and anticipation and expectation around this election cycle that even for me as a professional intuitive and medium and astrologer, I've got my own personal beliefs. I've got my own wants and dreams and wishes with this election. So it's challenging to, put those aside and look at the astrology for what it is and share what I'm intuitively feeling as it is without the interference, right, of my own personal stuff that's going on. If you're meeting me for the first time, again, my name is Meg Moonbeam, and I am a freedom-loving astrologer. Okay, so I'm on the side of freedom. I am on the side of truth. I am on the side of equality. And anything that's not on that side, I really don't vibe with. Okay, so there's going to be some of the things that we look at today that on the personal level, like Kamala Harris, Tim WALTZ, really don't, not my cup of tea, right? Crypto Blonde says, yes, Meg, we all have personal bias. So I'm just, being honest with you guys that, okay, I'm having to park my personal bias to the side and share with you the astrology that I am seeing for what it is. I think many of you guys that are like-minded like me will be happy with some of the things that I am about to share. And there may be some things that we're not a little bit happy to hear. But those things are not the major predictions. So don't want to freak you guys off right out the bat. Okay. I am going to be covering a lot in this video, and I am going to we'll put timestamps on the Meg Moonbeam YouTube Rumble channel, as well as the Beyond Mystic YouTube Rumble channel, so that you can go back, see all the different sections of what I'm talking about. You can go back to those different pieces and check it out. Okay. So where do we start? Now, countries have astrology charts. Okay. Everything in life has an astrological chart. So the USA's chart is, of course, based on July 4th, 1776, 5:10 p.m., Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, when the Declaration of Independence was signed. The US is a Cancer, so 13-degree Cancer sun, with its moon 27 degrees Aquarius, rising 12 degrees Sagittarius, and we've got the whole chart here. Okay. Now, what we're first going to be looking at is what I'm bringing up right now is the transit chart for Election Day and the United States of America. So I'm filming this USA election 2024 astrological predictions on Friday, October 25th, 2024. So I'll just put that on the record here. So I'm filming this. How many days out are we? 10 days? Is it 10 days until the election? 7, 8, 9, about 10 or 11 days out from the election. So this is coming up really, really close. Okay. Now, where do I even start with this? Okay. The United States is having absolutely batshit crazy astrological transits at the moment. Once in a lifetime, once in a generation, absolutely historical. I'm going to break it all down, but this makes a lot of sense when you look at what is going on with the country that is the most influential country to the whole world, and how that is influencing the whole world, influencing the country of the United States. This is major, crazy ass transits that are going on. So first of all, the United States has been going through its first Pluto return. Okay. So the United States was born at the time, July 4th, 1776. Pluto was retrograde at 27 degrees of Capricorn. Now, Pluto, our most outer discovered planet, takes around 240 years to do its zodiac revolution, meaning to go through all the 12 signs in the zodiac. Takes a long freaking time. And people do not have Pluto returns. We will experience a Saturn return or a Uranus return within our lifetimes. But unless you live to be over 240 years old, you won't experience having a Pluto return. Countries that last over 240 years will experience this. Right now, as I'm filming this in 2024, Pluto is at 29 degrees of Capricorn. We are at the end of a Pluto in Capricorn transit that we have been having for the last 16 years since 2008. This is the first Pluto return. So the first time in the US's history that Pluto is in the same place as it was when America was born. The exact date was actually last year in 2023, but Pluto is still within a strong, what we call orb of the natal Pluto, within a 5-degree orb, only 2 degrees off right now. So this is technically still the Pluto return of America. Now, why this is significant, okay? Pluto is the planet that is the most intense planet in astrology. It rules death, rebirth, transformation, revealing, crisis, the dark side of life, secrets, criminality. Okay. It's intensity. It's the most intense planet in astrology that rules the most intense aspects of life. Okay. So to go through a Pluto return is like a dark night of the soul. It is a crisis moment. And America has been going through this for the past few years. I don't need to break down every single thing that has happened, but it is a crisis, dark night of the soul moment where, it's one of the most, if not the most divisive time in America. It's a time where so much is coming up to the surface and being revealed that it's kind of overwhelming and crazy, right? So Pluto return, that's the most intense transit you can have in astrology. And the USA is having that. Okay? So things being revealed, darkness being purged from America and its history that no longer serves, death of the country, and rebirth into its new version. So whenever we go through Pluto transits, which people will go through Pluto transits, but for a country to go through a Pluto return, this is a death rebirth of the country. Okay. Which it's interesting that right now, as this election is happening, is going to happen rather, it is still the Pluto return within a 2-degree orb. That Pluto has not left Capricorn yet and gone into Aquarius. Okay. So as this election, I want you guys to keep in mind, as this election takes place, it's not until November 19th, 2024, when Pluto ingresses into Aquarius, that we are fully into our new future, the way ahead, new energies. We're still in Pluto and Capricorn. This is an election where we are still in Pluto and Capricorn. There's still something to be worked out. And that dark side of life, the dark arts people, the matrix still has, and some of you guys are not going to like me saying this, okay, but I'm just reading the astrology. They still have what's the right way for me to say this? A power. Okay, I was about to say they still have a hold on things, but that's not accurate. The dark side still has a power with Pluto in Capricorn. Once that Pluto ingresses into Aquarius, they're not in power anymore because the sign of Capricorn rules the matrix. Okay, the elites, right? The dark Pluto societies, Capricorn. So this is the final hurrah, if you will, of this dark elite group that has been in control of the United States of America, maybe since the very beginning. Okay, that is all about to be revealed. And some of you may know that America is a corporation. Okay, so I'm not going to get too into that in this video. I did a whole conversation of that with my friend Red Pill Rooster on my YouTube channel. America is a corporation. Okay, this is something not a lot of people know of yet. There's still a lot that's being hidden that's Pluto is going to reveal over the next 1 to 2 years while the country is still in its Pluto return. But we have to remember, first things first, election day. This is the transits for election day. Okay, we've got, and by the way, I forgot to say, the middle of the chart is the birth chart of the United States of America, and the outer rim is the transits for November 5th. Okay, there is still something that is not completed yet by the end of election day and won't be completed until November 19th when Pluto moves into Aquarius. Okay. So we're still in the past and there's still a power because Pluto rules power. This is the planet of power and powerful people in the sign of Capricorn, which is the dark arts elites and the matrix. They still have a little bit of power. Okay. And it's not a lot of power. Okay. It was a lot of power when Pluto ingressed into Capricorn in 2008. So, no, let me just say right off the bat, no, it is not my prediction that the Democrats are going to win the election. Okay. That is not my prediction. I'm going to take this one piece at a time, but I am starting by saying there is something not yet completed, and that dark side still has a little tiny bit of power that they are likely going to try to create a chaos with, or they are likely going to try to generate something from that power. But of course, the stars impel, they do not compel. So this is where we can use our intentions, we can use our prayers to literally create miracles. Okay. Sashmo says corpse is finished, but just need to bridge over now. Exactly. That's such a good way of putting it, Sashmo. The matrix is dead, but it's like we're still in the funeral process. Does that make sense, you guys? We're not the day after the funeral moving forward. Okay, we've buried the person. They're not fully buried yet. Okay. So America is going through a death. Pluto return. And with Pluto at the end of Capricorn, there's still a little bit of power that dark side has. But the good news is it's not enough to overtake the election, to completely steal it. And we're going into 2025 and Kamala Harris is not going to win the election. Okay, I'll just say that right now. She is not going to win the election. Okay? So, where do I go from here? Pluto also rules death. As I've been saying, Capricorn can be older people. Okay. So something else that you guys might not like to hear is that whatever is being shown to us as Joe Biden, who is a politician, who is an older person, okay, whatever that is, the real Joe Biden, clone Joe Biden, whatever that is, very, very likely to die before Inauguration Day, which would then make Kamala step in intermittently as president. I don't know what the right term would be because that's not president-elect. There's probably a different term. Let me know in the comments, you guys. Okay. Pluto in Capricorn is older, powerful people dying. Politicians dying. The highest levels of powerful people dying. Joe Biden dying. So I'm not calling for the death of Joe Biden. I'm just reading the astrology. Okay, you guys. And I've been saying that since the summer that, okay, this dude, whatever that is that we're looking at, is very likely to die before Inauguration Day, which would then make Kamala step into being the president temporarily. Unless I'm wrong, you guys, unless I'm missing something, that's my understanding. Okay. So G Mama 3 says, oh, Meg, that just makes my stomach turn. Kamala as our president will suck moose balls. Yes, and I don't want this to happen. I'm just letting you guys know astrologically what a major possibility is. Okay, but it would not last. Okay. And by the way, if you've been following my work for a while, then you know that I've been saying for a very, very long time that and we're going to look at Kamala's chart. I'm going to bring up Kamala's chart in a bit. Her astrology is so bad right now. And first of all, I don't get how some of my fellow astrologers are saying that she's going to win the election. It makes no sense. So I'm not going to call anybody out in particular, but when I show you guys her transits, it makes no freaking sense. Okay. If she was to temporarily be the president, it would not last a long time. It would only be until the new presidency gets inaugurated. Might not even happen. I'm just sharing with you a possibility as we go along the way, as I'm sharing with you guys the transits. Okay. So it's a big possibility Joe Biden could die before Inauguration Day. And I think, did I bring up his chart? Wait one second, you guys. I have so many charts up here. I might not have brought up his chart. That's okay. I don't want to overwhelm you guys with charts. I was looking at his chart and I was looking at his transits before I went live today. And I think the full moon in Taurus on November 14th, 15th next month could be a potential window where Joe Biden dies or has to step down. And that's because that full moon in Taurus is at 23 degrees of Taurus or 24 degrees of Taurus in a direct opposition to his sun, 27 degrees of Scorpio in his 12th house. That full moon will be conjunct Uranus, the planet of unpredictability, instability, very, very adverse as an older person that is a Scorpio with your sun in the 12th house to have a full moon in Taurus conjunct Uranus in opposition to your sun. So that could be a window, that full moon next month, where we could actually see him cross over or need to step down due to a major health issue. Okay. So there's a possibility here. I don't think Harris is winning the election, but there's a possibility where she may step in as president temporarily. Okay. So we got that Pluto return going on. So everything I've just said so far was based off the Pluto return. Now, on November 5th, we will have Mars in opposition to Pluto, almost exact, only 1 degree off. And as I'm filming this video on October 25th, we've already got Mars in an opposition to Pluto. We are going to be having this aspect for the whole, pretty much next month, the whole Scorpio season. Okay, we're in Sun and Scorpio season. Mars and Pluto are the two rulers of Scorpio. Scorpio is the most intense sign in astrology that rules crisis, the dark side of life, dark night of the soul, secrets coming up to the surface, death, rebirth, transformation, power, politics, right? So with the two rulers of Scorpio in opposition and almost exact on election day, it can't get any more intense, okay? And we are already feeling this intensity. I'm hearing pretty much everybody I talk with, share that they're also feeling the energy is heavy right now and very, very challenging. So we've got this Mars in Pluto opposition. It's going to be exact right before the election, the beginning of November. But on election day, it will be within a 1 degree orb of being exact. So Mars, the planet of war, violence, anger, aggression, frustration, impatience, divine masculine, the military, also leadership, in an opposition to Pluto, the darkest aspects of life, death, revealing. Okay, this is a very spiritual war energy. We are in a spiritual war. Okay, and that dark side of life, Pluto, is fully like in war mode. They are in fight mode. So anybody that's saying out there, oh, they're just, Kamala and WALTZ, they're just going to lose and then it's going to be over and yay, Trump and Vance are going to win. Okay, I would like for that to happen. That's my wish and dream. Cold Chill says the spiritual war of our lifetime. Yes. But I don't know if any of you guys have ever experienced, having an addiction or having a major shadow issue. None of us are perfect. We've all had our issues, right? We've all gone through that inner battle with our shadow, with the dark side in whatever way. These energies that are, and it gets into the greater cycles of, the entering the age of Aquarius and all that, they're soon no longer allowed to be here on the planet anymore. They're not allowed to harvest off us anymore. They're not allowed to steal our loosh anymore, right? They are totally in desperation mode. And when negative energies are in desperation mode, they try to create chaos. Okay. So again, the stars impel, they do not compel. I do not want to say that there will be physical violence or a bomb going off or a civil war. The astrological potential is there, though. Okay, it is there. With it being a Scorpio season, with the two rulers of Scorpio, Mars in opposition to Pluto. I haven't even gone through all the US transits are crazy. The solar return is crazy. So this is where all of us that are aware of this information, okay, we need to be praying. We need to be visualizing the highest, most loving outcome available for everyone. Okay, because this dark side of life, they are going to try in whatever ways they can, and it will fail. Let me be very clear. It will fail. It's not going to win. Okay. But they are going to try to cause as much chaos as possible. What they would love the most, Mars in opposition to Pluto, is civil war and physical violence and all hell to break loose. So for us, not going into that place, not feeding that, visualizing and creating elsewise is the most powerful thing that we can do right now. Okay. So the astrology, it's like looking at the energetic weather. And this is a category 5 hurricane. Election day. It's a category 5 hurricane. Okay. So Dawn says, yes, chaos will occur no matter who gets elected. It could, but through our intention, through our prayers, through our holding the space, I do believe that miracles can happen. Okay. So part of why I also wanted to put out this predictions video is not just as an astrologer, it's nice to have an accurate prediction. Okay. But actually the most important reason why I want to do this, and yes, you know what? K9 Mama, we'll do that at the end. At the end, let's do a group meditation. Fantastic idea. Okay, we will do that at the end. Thank you. Great idea. My main reason for doing this is seeing what the astrological weather is and holding space for the highest timeline, the highest potential for everyone's highest good in love and in light. Okay. And the good news, as you guys are going to see as I go throughout this astrological video today, is the good guys are going to win. They've already won. We're just witnessing that dark side in total desperation mode, dying. Pluto and Capricorn is dying. And it's like, fuck, I don't want to die. I want to keep the power. I want to keep feeding off the energy, right? So it's freaking intense. And this is also where, just bring it to another side note, a lot of us can be feeling like we're going through a death. I've been feeling that. I don't know. I've been hearing a lot of other people feeling that. With this Scorpio season, with Pluto at the end of Capricorn, Mars in opposition to Pluto, we are going through a huge death. So throughout this election, as we come up to it, it can feel more and more like that old world is dying, and it will be dead, and it will have lost its power when Pluto moves into Aquarius, November 19th. Okay, so that's good news. Okay, we can look forward to that. Okay, wanted to share too, some of you guys may have seen this. This is a tweet from Vigilant Fox. RFK Jr. flips the script on Kamala's lies about Trump using military on the public. It turns out that the Biden-Harris regime expanded domestic military authority to include lethal force. What this means is the Department of Defense now has the power to step in and use lethal force within U.S. borders, even against its own citizens, when it deems lives are at risk. The scope of this authority is chilling because the directive specifically states that the decision to use lethal force only needs the Secretary of Defense's approval. Once lethal force is approved, anything can happen. For years, Alex Jones warned about martial law and domestic military control. Now the Biden-Harris regime is making that a terrifying reality while accusing Trump of being guilty of their own actions. Thank you, Chrissy, for the super sticker. So let's just take that in for a moment. The people that claim to be of freedom and equality and, body autonomy have now made it legal to use lethal force against Americans on American soil. Just in time for an election with Mars and Pluto, the planets that rule violence and war, in an opposition. So they want to cause chaos. Okay. And it is a potential here. I'm not saying that it's going to happen for sure because I don't want to create that reality, but the dark side does want to use lethal force. They do. I got to be careful here with my words because I'm on YouTube. I'm going to hold myself back a little bit. But yeah, there's forces that do want to use that lethal force. Now, if they did, everything goes against them, and that would make them look so bad that I think a lot of people would wake up to that, right? So we're seeing where they put everything in plain sight, right? Dark arts, they have to put things in plain sight, and they're putting in plain sight that they want to use lethal force, right? So be very mindful, please. Any protests you go to surrounding this election, any events you go to surrounding this election, because it's a freaking Mars opposition to Pluto during a Scorpio season with Pluto at the end of Capricorn and Uranus conjunct Algol, the demon star. Okay, so please be careful. Chrissy says stay close to home. Yes, because I'm telling you guys, the side of truth and freedom is going to win this election. Okay, so we're going to get into more astrological predictions and potentials, but you don't, and I'm actually getting this strong from spirit right now. You don't need to be like out on the streets, guns blazing, fighting for your country, because you might get hurt. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Okay. Now, I'm not saying don't protect yourself if you have to protect yourself, but you guys know what I mean. It's very heightened emotions. It's very like January 6th, people that went to that had no idea what was going to happen with that. Right? So please be careful wherever you go, whoever you surround yourself, what you put your energy towards during this election, because this is volatile. The word is volatile, right? So Now, it's funny because I'm going to make a prediction, but it's kind of like not a prediction at the same side, which is, oh, at the same time, wait, that's not what I wanted to show up. Shoot, 1 second, you guys. There's a lot going on with Uranus right now having to do with this election. Okay. And Uranus rules unpredictability. Uranus rules the sign of Aquarius. Uranus and Aquarius rule unpredictability. So if I'm supposed to make astrological predictions and people are going to want me to be totally exact about that, just going to be straight up that I am making predictions in this video, but with transit Uranus in his most unstable position of Taurus right now, conjunct Algol in square to the moon of the United States of America, which represents the people and the public, with Trump and J.D. Vance having Uranus conjunct their midheavens, with Kamala and Tim Waltz having transit Saturn in opposition to their natal Uranus placements. This is freaking unpredictable, and this is not going to go. This whole election is likely not going to go how anybody exactly is saying it's going to go. Okay, because Uranus is unpredictability, shocks, surprises, things coming out of left field. So there's going to be things that are going to come up over the next, I'm going to say, month, that will be totally like, what the fuck? Nobody even said that. How did nobody even come up with that? Because of Uranus. Unpredictability. Okay. Unpredictability can be good, and unpredictability can be challenging, right? Maybe the Uranus unpredictability is the election goes very well and we have a result right away, and that was unexpected, right? Or maybe the unpredictability is something so crazy and weird Uranus that we've never even thought of that potential before. Or something, what I think it is, this is going to be the weirdest election of the whole history of America. This is going to be the weirdest story of an election for the whole history of America, right? And with transit Uranus, right, at the time of the election, 25 degrees of Taurus in square, only 2 degrees off from being exact, to the natal moon of America, 27 degrees of Aquarius, people are feeling like it's weird. The people are feeling weird. The public is feeling weird. People are weird. They're acting weird. Things don't make sense. Okay. But for those of you asking, is there even going to be an election? Yes, there is going to be an election, because transit Saturn, Granddaddy Saturn, who's the planet that rules governments, politics, and elections, will be in trine to the sun of the United States of America. Saturn rules elections. Okay? Granddaddy Saturn. You cannot get away from Granddaddy Saturn. Okay? So if he's in trine to the natal sun, there will be an election on November 5th. Right? I do like that the transit sun is in trine to the natal sun of the US. I do like that transit Saturn is in a trine to the natal sun to the US. So there will be, karma will be served. Saturn rules karma. You can't get away from, and when I get into the players, when I get into Trump, Vance, Harris, Waltz, you guys are going to laugh, because you can have all the nice little transits you want. Like there's some astrologers out there saying, Kamala Harris is going to win the election because Jupiter's in Gemini right now and she's a Gemini rising. Okay, but she's got transit Pluto, transit Saturn, the malefics, in some of the worst freaking aspects that you can have. You cannot hide from Saturn You cannot hide from Pluto. Doesn't matter what's going on with Jupiter. Doesn't matter what's going on with Venus. Okay. So if you've got Saturn, Granddaddy Saturn in a good aspect, damn. Thank you, Saturn. So Saturn trine the sun of the US, Saturn's going, there will be an election and it will be the result that is for the people. Okay, that's Saturn, the ruler of karma. Thank you so much, Karen, for the super sticker. Lots of love to you. So, yes, an election will occur, but it will be very weird. It will be very intense. It will be very volatile. And people are going to be tripped out on both sides. Okay. Mental health is a big issue right now because transit Neptune, right now at 27 degrees Pisces, is conjunct the IC, the bottom of the chart, the most vulnerable part of the chart, right? The midnight position of the US's chart. So this election is also going to really mess with people's mental health that have been brainwashed, right? That believe the news, that believe the mainstream story. And we're going to have to really be there for people that might lose their shit completely. Okay. Family members, friends, like losing it completely because the astrology, and I'll just say it. I just want to say it. Trump and Vance will win. Okay. And I'm going to bring up their charts in a bit, but Trump is going to win. Now, there's some ways that might play out that can be unexpected, but that is the side that is going to win. Their charts are way stronger than Harrison Waltz. It's a joke. And I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice when I say that, which is interesting. Their charts are so fucking weak. Excuse my language. It's a joke. I'm just going to go Scorpio on you guys for a second. So I don't understand why there's all these astrologers out there saying Kamala Harris is going to win. It's a joke. And I got to be careful because I'm on YouTube right now. But we all know that there's some weird stuff. Like, what are we even looking at? You guys can read between the lines of what I'm saying. What is really going on? What are we really looking at? Uranus, it's weird. Like, and I can't wait for the day that we can just say whatever we want. Litecoin Lisa, what if Trump was taken out at Madison Square, but then voted in at ballot boxes? That would be weird. That would be weird. It's going to be weird. It's going to be weird. So brace yourself for weird. Brace yourself for the weirdest in the weird. And there's a lot of people, I'm seeing some people in the comments going, you predicted that something would come out with Kamala and it didn't come out yet. Okay. It's coming out before the election. There's insiders on Twitter, X rather, saying there's very damning information that is imminently at any moment about to be released, which is a video of Kamala Harris doing something really freaking weird that is going to ruin her campaign. So that is going to be coming out. And where the heck, okay, like honest to God, where is this guy? What is this guy? And where is this guy? He drops out on the second in a row full moon in Capricorn. That wasn't too hard to predict. Myself and some other astrologers accurately predicted that to the day that he was going to drop out on a full moon in Capricorn. It's not that hard. It's pretty basic astrology. And then he's kind of like completely off we're not seeing this guy anywhere. Where is he? Does anybody know? This was today, supposedly, wishing he could do more. Biden fades into campaign's background. He's just like completely faded away. But he's our president. We're already in a weird situation. There's this president that's just like not there. Where is he? With a vice president that doesn't make a lot of sense. So, see, this is where it's hard for me as an astrologer because I have to try to be I have to be, not biased, but how can it's just I'm not being biased because I'm telling you guys the astrology, but just looking at these people, it's so weird. Oh my God. So yeah. Also, transit Neptune on the IC of the chart. Illusions, lies, brainwashing, things that are not real. There is so much that is not what we are being shown it is, that because Neptune is in Pisces and because Saturn is in Pisces, that whole story isn't going to get revealed to us until they move into Aries 2025 going into 2026. It's wild. Jill, thank you so much for the super chat. I love you guys so much. Love you, love you, love you. So good news. Okay, let's talk about, well, I've already told you who's going to win the election. So I think that's good news to most of us, right? One way or another, Trump and Vance are going to win this election, whether it comes out on the day that they've won, whether it comes out 2 to 3 weeks after when Pluto ingresses into Aquarius. One way or another, what's that song? One way or another, they're gonna win. They're gonna win this election. Okay, it is gonna happen, but it's gonna be intense. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be super volatile. People are gonna lose their minds, and it's gonna be the craziest election we've ever had in our lives. And this dude likely dropping dead or stepping down. Let me be clear, I'm not calling for his death. I'm just reading the astrology because Pluto's in Capricorn. Death to politicians, death to older people in the most prominent positions of power, with upcoming full moon in Taurus in opposition to his sun in the 12th house. So we'll see about that. Kamala temporarily becoming the president, but Trump and Vance wins. And it's just weird. And all the normies completely freaking out. So good news. We've got also Neptune in sextile to Pluto. Transit Neptune exactly. Transit Neptune on November 5th, exactly sextile to the natal Pluto of the US. Divine intervention, right? Neptune is the spirit world. Neptune is the other side. The divine, our higher selves. Divine intervention. Pray, visualize, call upon assistance for us to have the most peaceful as possible, loving as possible, compassion as possible, transition of power. Thank God we've got that Neptune in sextile to Pluto. Divine intervention. And we've already seen that divine intervention, didn't we? Let me bring this up. We've already been having miracles, right? And for me personally, as an astrologer, that day, that Trump assassination attempt, okay, and we've all got different conspiracies, we've all got different feelings, we can have different opinions, okay, that's healthy, right? For me as an astrologer, that was real. That the astrology literally shows in Trump's chart that that was a real assassination attempt and he could have died on that day. And it's a miracle that he didn't. So that was real to me. Even though we've got Neptune in Pisces, even though we've got Saturn in Pisces, that was like, yeah. So the divine intervention has already been taking place and it will continue to take place. But again, there will be challenge. We've also got transit Saturn in the third house of the United States. So, the third house is the Gemini ruled areas of life. Gemini is local communities, local neighborhoods, local elections, volunteers at election. The third house is, the places where we go uh, submit our ballots, the places where we go do the election. With transit Saturn over there, there will be challenge for people trying to cast their votes the day of. Remember, that dark side of life, they are not going to win, but they are going to stop at nothing to try to make it as chaotic, as crazy, as challenging, as draining as possible. So could this be, with transit Uranus and square to the moon, which represents the people? Could this be the power goes out on election day, or there's, certain power outages at voting stations, or the machines aren't working, so we have to do it this other way. Something about it is not going to be working properly, and it's going to be challenging. Right? Saturn is challenge and delay and things taking a long time and long lines, right? Like, I've been in this freaking line for 6 hours. Can't I just cast my vote? So when President Trump is saying vote early, I think there's a reason why he's saying vote early. Maybe him and the team knows something. Okay. Yeah, Sunny says vote early. Yeah, there's a reason why they're saying vote early because, again, they're not going to win, but they're going to try to make this as chaotic and stressful as possible because what they feed off our negative energy. Darker entities feed off of fear and chaos and confusion and anger, right? They feed off of if we're in a line casting the vote, and we're standing there for 6 hours, and then we start to have a conversation with the people behind us. You're voting for Harris? Well, fuck you. You're voting for Trump? Well, fuck you. And then people start to, maybe that's also why they're saying vote early, because this is so divisive that there's a potential here for like being in the lines, and there could be like violence in the freaking like where you vote, right? Not calling for that to happen, not saying that's going to happen for sure, but this is volatile beyond volatile. It doesn't get more volatile than this. Vote early, stay close to home, stay in your safe territory, and don't make any big chances of going to any crazy protests. The dark side is going to try to, there may be protests that seem like they're freedom protests, but it might be completely, actually, I'm getting this download right now, might be completely made up to try to make another January 6th or something like that. Okay. Carla says, go in groups. Take people that are not sure if they'll vote. Create a voting caravan with your family and friends. That's awesome suggestion, Carla. Totally. And also good to like maybe not be by yourself because the energy is going to be weird and it's very, very unpredictable. Okay. So anything else I want to share with those transits there? Oh, other thing I wanted to say, this is where astrology has so many different layers to it. Men are ruled by Mars and the sun. Women are ruled by the moon. Okay. So with transit Uranus, that's his most unstable position of Taurus. This is why things have been so crazy and unstable since 2018 with this transit. In square to the moon, Kamala, that does not support a woman winning the election, Saturn. Okay. With the transit sun in a almost exact trine to the sun of the United States of America, that does support a man winning the presidency. Remember, there will be an election on this day, astrologically, okay, because of the sun in trine to Saturn. A man, sun, winning election, Saturn. So there's so many, I'm going to have to write maybe all the different reasons why Trump and Vance are going to win the election. It's all over the astrology charts. And this is not very hard astrology. So, there's some astrologers out there that are looking at the progressions, they're looking at all these like really advanced technical things, which are great. Okay, I'm not against those things. But if you're going past the very basic transits of a country and a person, there's something that you're not doing properly. And I'm questioning your integrity as an astrologer. So I'm just going to say that. So it's all over the charts, right? Also, the USA chart is a Sagittarius rising. So it is what we call chart ruled by the planet Jupiter. It's important for us to pay attention to Jupiter transits as we go throughout this whole process. This is going to be an ongoing, I'm going to use the term, this election is like an ongoing situation. No matter what happens with this election, it's going to be an ongoing situation until Inauguration Day, right? Which I have very good news about Inauguration Day. We're going to get to that chart soon. So we're going to be paying attention to Jupiter. I invite my fellow astrologers out there, pay attention to Jupiter transits in relationship to the USA's chart. And it makes sense too, because transit Jupiter, the chart ruler of America, is in an on and off square with Granddaddy Saturn going into 2025. So it's like there's just this energy of challenge and delays. Okay. So now I know that this news came out. I saw this on Twitter right before I went live. Everybody's freaking out. This is from Michael Watley. Massive election integrity victory. The Fifth Circuit has just ruled that ballots must be received by election day to be counted, not days after, following an RNC lawsuit. This is a seismic win for fair, accurate, secure, transparent elections. So I am an astrologer and a psychic medium. I'm not a politician. I'm not a government worker. I'm not an expert on these things, but based on what I'm seeing on X right before I went live, it's looking like all the ballots need to be counted on election day. And I'm assuming that there won't be able to be a delay in the election or the results. I could be wrong about that. We'll see about that. But this is very, very good news. Okay. Where kind of like there are delay things that are going on, but kind of does make sense with, remember, Sun trine Saturn, day of the election. Saturn rules elections. So it's not a square, it's not an opposition, it's a trine. It's naturally working out. There will be an election. And interesting that now this has come out like, yeah, all the ballots are going to have to be counted on that day, right? That's Saturn in astrology. I'm always joking with you guys about Saturn, Granddaddy Saturn. It makes total sense. He's like, no, the ballots will be counted on that day. and we will have the result. Okay. Saturn, the ruler of karma, is like so fed up with these dark elites, with Pluto at the end of Capricorn, and Saturn is the dispositor of that. He's like, we're gonna give you the result. Okay, this election is going to happen, but it's not going to be an easy process, because transit Neptune on the IC of the US. Okay, we haven't even looked at the solar return of the US yet. We're going to get to that soon. People are going to lose their minds. Normies are going to lose their minds. So it's not just going to be a normal election where one side wins and we move forward and we wait until inauguration day. We're in a spiritual war. DigiBean says, Meg, better check that again. Did I say something out of line? JC is now saying to me, the ballots must be received the day of, but not necessarily counted. Okay, so thank you for correcting me, you guys. So they must be received the day of, but not necessarily counted. Okay, so that is still a potential then that we could have a delayed election result. Okay, but it is going to come out. JC says, I have an update on Trump Rogan interview. Everybody is asking Janine and I where it is. Do you want me to jump in? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to bring JC. JC, if you'd like to come on, you can come on.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. How's it going?
Good. Crazy show, Meg. I've been listening to you in the car. I was rushing back home. I was trying to find this Joe Rogan interview, and our phone is going off the hook. Everybody's asking us, hey, I thought it was supposed to be at 8 o'clock. And I'm like, I know, I can't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
So I have a few things that I could share with you. First, on that article, so
Yeah.
it is still a win in terms of the ballots having to have been received the day of the election. So that means that if they're trying to stuff envelopes the next day or a week after, kind of what we'd had in the last election, that they can no longer do. Now, it still could be appealed, but it still looks like a win. So I didn't mean to break that up too much, but just to be clear on what they were saying. So they could receive it all on the same day, but they could still technically have counting issues, and it could be a couple of days. We could still have recounts. But still, I think it's a big win, this Fifth Circuit Court decision there that just came out. So really good. Okay, so there's a TikTok video that I can share with you guys. Let me see if I can share a screen.
Has the Rogan interview come out yet, or no? We're still waiting.
No, that's what everybody's asking for. And people were believing it was going to be at 8 o'clock tonight for some reason. Right. I think that was reported a couple of days ago. But right now on TikTok, and a few people have repeated it here on Twitter, these are the two gentlemen here saying that they did already have the interview. It lasted 3 hours. 3 hours. So that's going to be absolutely crazy. Let me play this clip. Can you guys hear this? Okay, let's just see what these guys have to say here. Hold on.
Hello, world.
Yeah.
Hello, world. We just wrapped up a great podcast.
We had a good time. I think you'll find it very interesting and enjoy it.
Hello.
Okay. So cryptic, but there it is. They said they've done it. Now, I looked on the Joe Rogan Experience, Spotify as well. Let me share that with you guys. That's where I thought it was going to be earlier today. But it was this episode still, the Sam Tripoli episode, the 2218. So they haven't posted the new one yet on the GRE here on Spotify. But I just looked at something on CBS, and I saw this. When will the Joe Rogan Experience release its Trump interview? They're saying, of course, they were recording on October 25 in Austin, Texas. And then the interview is likely to be released on Saturday, October 26th. So that's interesting, because in the last couple of days, even mainstream media seemed to be reporting that it was going to happen on the 25th, although nobody was really clear as to when it was going to be released. So I'm not sure if there's a strategy around this. I'm obviously convinced that people are on the wrong side of the fence are probably really worried, and they have to sleep at night, or try to sleep tonight, wondering what the hell he talked about for 3 hours. So I think a lot of people are probably dissecting that as best they can, or trying to get their hands on it. So that's the update for that.
That's
Basically,
so interesting. If I can just say, JC, so interesting, because do you know who Sam Tripoli is?
I've seen him on the podcast before, but what are you alluding to?
So he's a comedian,
Uh-huh.
but he's a full-blown conspiracy theorist.
Oh yeah, he's deep into the
He's
woo.
and has his own podcast, Tinfoil Hat.
Yeah.
And so I find that really interesting that he's the one, he's like the bump, he's going to be the bumper under the Trump interview.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if this is me reading into it too much, but that's going to be like the biggest podcast of all time. And people are going to see the one under it. Oh, Sam Tripoli, who's that? And click on that. And he's full-blown conspiracy, full-blown truther. Haven't had a chance yet to listen to their Rogan podcast, but yeah, that's interesting that he had him on.
Well, you know what's cool too? Let me see if I can bring this up for the audience. So I listened to part of the interview with Sam, and of course he's deep woo. He's even deeper than Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
But it's funny, as you say, there's a tactic here for this interview because they did bring up DoD Directive 4240. Jenny and I looked into this. This is essentially here the military giving itself the right to use lethal force on American soil. So on one hand, in the last couple of weeks, we're getting the Biden shit show administration saying that Trump was the Nazi and he was going to go after the enemy within, the Americans, and he's going to jail and kill everybody who doesn't agree with him, blah, blah, blah. But yet these are the guys that are putting forward this particular directive. They're in power now. So I thought that was interesting. It's on Alex Jones, but Sam Tripoli brought this up tonight in that podcast. He also brought up the ETs, 0 point technology, Antarctica. So all chemtrail, like everything you would want to talk about. If you thought that you were listening to an interview with Trump, Sam at least brought it up tonight. So I think there's probably a strategy to kind of lead into some of these subject matters with that very interview. So I encourage you guys to go watch this or listen to it, at least on Spotify. Yeah. It's probably already repeated on YouTube somewhere if you want to go see it. So yeah, interesting time to say the least. So I guess we'll have to wait for tomorrow for the Trump thing.
Aw, yeah. But, well, that'll be great. That'll be a great Saturday morning. Hopefully it comes out Saturday morning, our time.
Yeah.
Surprise.
We'll see. We'll see where it goes. But judging by what you said, I was listening to you in the car on the way back. It very much appears like everything is in the cards. So we have this is going to be the weirdest election you said in the history of the United States. I was like, maybe the history of the world. Really, when you look at this. Yeah. And also now, just breaking news, Israel is starting a new attack on Iran. And I thought, of course, all of this happening at the same time. And Cliff Hyde just posted something to the fact that this could be now the leading up to this Israeli mistake. So he said there's something big that happens. And there's still an election, as you said here. We're not going to have an election. There's an election now. What happens with it, we don't know. Yeah. But Janine also pulled the cards the other day that there's an election, but nobody really cares about it. Somehow, something else is happening someplace else. Right. So it could be this war here that seems to be just kicking off now in Iran. I'm wondering what your astrology says about the war effort, also.
Yeah, well, we're in a war transit right now. Mars in opposition to Pluto for the whole next month. So it's, as I've been saying, volatile, and that is going to express itself in different parts of the world. Right. So, yeah.
Well, so there you go. I didn't want to take up too much of your time, but I thought, hey, a lot of people are tweeting us and asking us about this Trump interview. So there you go. That's the answer we have for now.
Yeah.
It's going to be tomorrow. Although it's still not confirmed whether or not they're going to release it tomorrow. I for the love of me, just before I came in, I was searching every file I could. There's nothing on Joe Rogan Twitter. There's nothing on Trump's Twitter or True Social about the time of the interview. So I think they're playing very coy. It could have something to do with them trying to negotiate something, or it could have something to do with trying to prevent some of these DDoS attacks. So they might be trying to, get more distributed servers together, or to launch it when nobody's knowing where it's coming from. I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see here in the next couple of hours. But yeah, this is the attack apparently is starting now in Iran. And if you guys remember that temporal marker, the Israeli mistake was that Israel fires at some military installation in Iran and mistakenly sets off a nuke that's under this particular installation in Iran. And then we have this nuclear fallout in the region. And that was the big data set there around this Israeli mistake, to the point where we would have contamination afterwards. And for there ever after, the Israelis as a group would be tainted with this particular mistake of having done such a horrible deed around the planet. Now, whether that's just predictive linguistics of people talking about it versus an event, we still don't know, but it appears now we're moving into that direction. At least we'll see here in the next couple of hours and days here where this goes. But
Yeah.
crazy times. For
As you're
sure.
saying that, JC, I just want to look up when the exact, I'm just looking at my astrology program, when the exact Mars Pluto opposition it's going to be November 3rd. And we've still got Uranus conjunct Algol. So those are two markers in astrology. Algol, the demon star, and also Mars, explosions, bombs, nukes, things like that. So there, like you said, I resonate with, there's many different cards that the dark side is thinking about possibly doing because they're in total desperation mode. So very important for us to be, putting our positive intentions and prayers, which do work. It's not just wishful thinking and us being spiritual bypassing. So yeah, it's intense.
And did you see also today, just to add insult to injury, Washington Post refused to endorse Kamala, and then we heard a couple of hours later that this was as a result of Bezos saying no. So now we have this huge fight at the billionaire level, suggesting again that something just broke here behind the scenes, and people were absolutely not expecting that. Let me bring that up for you guys. So it's like a big reversal last minute here. That these, at least this billionaire here has, turned to the other side, maybe. So I don't know. And on top of that, in the last couple of days, I don't know if you've been following this, but all these actors that are coming out, including DiCaprio, just a couple of minutes ago, they're all coming out for Kamala. I've seen time and time again now people saying, yeah, they're doing that. That was the whole thing about the P. Diddy videos. They wanted to get the videos, not to get to the truth of who's hurting what children or whatever. That was not their concern. They wanted to blackmail these people into voting for Kamala. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it's coming up now for conversation. And if that's the case, we're seeing now, hour by hour, minute by minute, some of these influential people around the world cast their vote here in a public way. So if it does have something to do with the Epstein list or with the P. Diddy list, these guys are basically outing themselves here. So that's going to be absolutely crazy to watch in the next weeks also. Crazy.
Absolutely crazy. And funny, I can actually bring up, as you're on, JC, I love having you on here. The next thing I was going to bring up is the USA solar return chart. So I've only so far looked at the transits. I'm going to have to get a little bit more, go through everything I want to talk about. But the next thing is the solar return. So this is the birthday chart of the US based on its last birthday, July 4th, 2024. And why I'm bringing this up is we've got the sun, moon, Venus in this chart, all in the 8th house of Scorpio. So an 8th house stellium with a Scorpio rising. Okay. Scorpio rules, yes, the dark side of life. Yes, intensity, chaos, crisis, but court cases, criminality, courts. And in July, when I did an Astro deep dive on the solar return for the US, I said, we're going to see possibly the craziest court case of US history, or maybe the biggest one since, what was that guy that killed his wife, JC? What's that?
O.J. Simpson.
O.J. Simpson, yeah. This is going to be crazy.
If the glove don't fit, you must acquit.
Yeah, you must quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're seeing it, the P. Diddy stuff.
Yeah.
Totally.
Or it could also be the Brunson case. That would qualify, in my view, is what you're saying here, the craziest court case, because it changes the course of history. And perhaps 3/4 of Congress get nullified by this under treason charges too. So that would have huge ramifications. And it would kind of bring us into that remote viewing. Although it was of the death of the dollar, Dick Algay and company had all of these puking congressmen crouching, crying, and disbelief, transfer of power for the last time, something to that effect too. So could be tied into that also here with your chart, Meg. Really
and it could be more than one court case. It could be multiple at the same time. But yeah, things being exposed, 100%. Us seeing public court cases, people in court, trials, right? So it's crazy. I was with a family member yesterday, and they were watching a Harris rally, and Bruce Springsteen was singing at the Harris rally, and he literally said, Trump is a tyrant. You vote for Trump, you're voting for a tyrant. And these are intense words to say.
Yeah.
Tyrant.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
So all of these people, they're going to be held accountable. All these
Did you
entertainers.
see the Michael Keaton video that came out? Was
I
it
did,
yesterday or the before? He looks out of place too. And the one with DiCaprio from earlier today, he looks like he's being held hostage and like reading somebody else's script. Like it's so bizarre to watch. Like, and at the same time, like none of them can explain. Janine and I were talking about this on the show. It might have been Wednesday night or the Monday night. It was like nobody can explain. It's like, well, wait a second. Trump was actually in office for 4 years.
Yeah.
None of that happened.
Right.
And so they can't, first of all, they don't want to admit that. But second of all, if they were intellectually honest with us and they were really trying to convince us, they'd say, okay. He didn't do it in those last 4 years. But right now, because of XYZ that they could come up with, more lies, now he's going to really, really be Hitler, right? They're not even trying that. They're just saying, oh, he's a tyrant, he's a Hitler. He's asking for the same generals as Hitler. Like all these weird things. Like it's crazy. I don't know. Didn't the Pope come out say today too, or something?
Yeah, I saw that
about the Kamala like taking orders from the Antichrist, or like it's getting weird.
Yeah, I'll see if I can bring that up. That was absolutely again, Uranus. It's unpredictable. It's not what you would expect. You would maybe expect, oh, there you found it. Yeah.
So it wasn't Pope. Former Vatican ambassador to the U.S. calls Harris an infernal monster who obeys Satan.
Oh my
God. Don't forget, just last week she was at a rally and somebody says, praise Jesus or something like that. And she says, oh, no, lady, you had the wrong rally. That's the rally next door. Meaning there's no Jesus here in the house or God. I forget who the person was referring to. But basically go to Trump. But here, no, we don't talk about God or Jesus. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Crazy. So
it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
SM Milton says it has become a comedy show.
Yeah. Well, the debate on CNN also, not the debate, but the town hall where Kamala Harris was with Anderson Cooper. He cured her, man. She did horribly, and it's just like one thing after another. And even the Democratic media pundits after that were saying that, oh, she was just very word salady. She wasn't answering any questions. She was repeating stuff. Like it's getting weird. So it's clear that she's imploding. So maybe we can add to here. And I have to go. I just wanted to share this something for you, but and the Rogan interview. But Kamala seems to be imploding. We're seeing now more and more of the mainstream news outlets endorse Trump. Also, we're seeing reversal of people who used to support Kamala in the mainstream news now at least not doing it too. So it's kind of weird. So I think that we know she's losing. They know she's losing. But that still doesn't mean that they might not try to make her win. Whether it's with all of this voting, cheating, this is why this decision is important. At least there's no mail-in ballots that can come in 2-3 weeks after, like nobody knows where they're coming from, and then suddenly they're counted, and it changes the whole election. So I think that's a good win. But it feels like something weird's happening in the background. They know they've lost it, but it's kind of like it feels tricky to me, and maybe that's where the astrology will kick in there. There's many options, and they're just now trying to figure out which of the red buttons they're going to push. Do they go to war? Do they do a financial crash on Monday, on October 28th? What is it? Do they do? They do the cheating part? Like, I don't know yet. So, and I spoke to Dick Algar about this a couple of days ago too, and he says, yeah, JC, it's like we're seeing all of the options at the same time. It's just so weird. He says he also thinks Trump is winning. That's what they're getting right now in terms of the real math below the surface. But he says they're still going to attempt to cheat it or do something else or flip the table. But what they do kind of is still in the air, still not calculated. And when Janine pulled on this yesterday, guys, if you haven't seen the show, she kind of said the same thing. She keeps picking up that Wheel of Fortune card that says basically there's a big reversal, expect the unexpected, something else is going to happen that changes the focus or changes the outcome or puts us in a brand new territory that we don't understand, and it'll take us a while to figure out what the hell just happened. So
yeah, I'm happy though. Looking forward, we have Pluto going into Aquarius. We've got Inauguration Day, which I'll just show you guys. I guess I'll bring up the chart of that right now. January 20th, 2025. Is Sun conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. Okay, so Aquarius is the future, moving forward. Pluto and Capricorn is the past and the matrix and the old power structures. So Inauguration Day, there is new power going into that seat of power. All of the astrology, everything, and there's quite a bit more for me to lay out. It's all showing it is not the same group that is we are being shown now, whether they actually are the ones in power or not. It is not the same group. It is a total change.
Does that also mean that it may not be Trump?
Yes.
So it could not be Harris and not be Trump, but something else. Military, temporary leadership until we fix the electoral process, something to that effect?
Before everybody freaks out, okay, it's going to be Trump or Vance by Inauguration Day.
Okay.
Now, I haven't even gotten into Trump's chart. Yes, he has some things, and so does Vance, showing they are trying to assassinate them probably every single day. Okay. But they've got way better astrology than Harris and WALTZ by leagues, by far. Okay. And it also reflects in the other charts as well. There could be a possible health issue that comes up with Trump. Okay. So that's in his chart. So I don't want that to happen, but I have to be honest with you guys about the astrology that if there were something to happen to Trump, it might be a health issue before Inauguration Day, which I'm not seeing as a huge potential. I don't know if you saw the beginning of the video, JC, but I'm actually seeing it as a very big potential that Joe Biden could die before Inauguration Day, and then Kamala becomes the intermittent president.
Right.
I'm seeing that as more of a potential. But whether it is Trump or whether it is Vance, it is one of those two and or both of those two moving us forward.
Okay.
On Inauguration Day.
Okay.
Their charts are very strong.
Huh. That's really interesting you say that about Biden maybe leaving before. Janine did pick cards on that at some point because somebody asked us to look at that scenario, and it was kind of plausible, but she wasn't sure if that was happening before the election or before inauguration. We didn't get any type of timing on that. That's interesting. Did you already look at his chart, Biden, again?
I didn't bring up his chart for this video because I didn't want to overwhelm with a crazy amount of charts, but I did look before. So, you know, Pluto being in Capricorn is the death of politicians. Pluto death, Capricorn politicians. Capricorn is also older people. So that's very basic astrology that at the end of this Pluto and Capricorn transit we're in now, from November 19th, we could see the death of Capricorn is the highest levels of power, President of the United States.
Yeah.
Right? Plus, we're going to have a full moon in Taurus on November 15th that will be 24 or 25 degrees Taurus conjunct Uranus, the planet of unpredictability, in an exact opposition to Biden's sun in Scorpio.
Not looking good.
So we could be seeing this, like when we're talking about this is going to be the weirdest election of all time, maybe there's a delay in the results, but Trump and Vance win. Maybe it has to get brought to the Senate. Forgive me, you guys, because I don't know the whole way ins and outs of government, but it's just like a whole weird process. Then Biden dies, and then Kamala steps in and becomes the president while we're waiting for the results, or right after the results came in. More assassination attempts trying to be done, people losing their minds because they think that Trump is like the next Hitler. It's like, yeah, buck wild. It's looking like.
For this episode, are you also looking into the military coming out into the open? That is one thing, a theme that Janine's been picking up on, let's say for the last 6 months. Every time we look at the potential for the election, that card keeps coming up that somehow something forces their hand probably, and they do have to step out into the open somehow.
Yeah.
Do you see that in the astrology too?
That could really happen any day now because we're having Mars in opposition to Pluto. These are the two planets that rule the military for the whole next month. So that things are so intense or so volatile or edgy that, yeah, we could visibly see more military.
Right.
With the people.
And the thing that Alex Jones was talking about, and what's this? RFK Jr. also reposted this directive here from the DOD. They're kind of surmising that they know something's going to happen. So I don't know if this is the white hat side of things or the black hat side of things, but what Alex Jones was saying is that if Trump wins somehow, or if they can't cheat on election day, they would kind of initiate or turn on all of these sleeper cells, whether those are the immigration that came in, or the BLM groups, the Black Lives Matter was the other one, Antifa, and start creating all of this havoc to where, the military has to come on the streets. But at this point, we would presume that there's two military on the streets. One may be protecting the citizenry, and one may be trying to protect the government in power right now to not lose power. So that also brings up a weird kind of a shit show. And this is where Janine was thinking, well, maybe that's where something forces their hand, that they have to admit who's actually CIC,
Right.
commander in chief, and not the president of the corporation. So given your astrology there, it looks like we're here at any moment. That could happen anytime here.
Any moment.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. But there is, I want to highlight this again. I'll bring up the transit chart just to highlight this again. Neptune sextile. So transit Neptune, where Neptune is right now in the current astrology, is an exact sextile. This is like very positive aspect to the natal Pluto of the US. Divine intervention is at play. Okay. So, in astrology, we use the term the stars impel, but they do not compel. Right? So just because there's a Mars in opposition to Pluto, okay, that's crazy. That could be war, that could be violence, that could be someone getting their head blown off. Sorry for the graphic imagery there, but then there's also Neptune in sextile to the natal Pluto. So miracles, prayers, wishes being fulfilled, divine intervention. Like I was telling right before you came on, JC, I personally feel like that was a real situation astrologically, that was Trump on there and he got shot and he actually almost died. Right? So that may or not be the case. That's just what I feel with the astrology and my intuition. But things like that, like he could have died on that day, right? It was freaking, it was Uranus and Mars exactly conjunct Algol. All astrologers were saying something crazy is going to happen on those 2 days.
Yeah.
Where someone might get assassinated. But with that transit Neptune sextile to the natal Pluto, those are the two spiritual planets of the divine. So the divine is very close to us right now, and they're available for us to give permission to bring assistance, right? It's not just us on this playing field. It's a spiritual war, as we've been talking about.
On top of the divine, or in coordination with the divine, or in parallel to the divine, could it be also in astrology that we're at this tipping point where we might be facing some ET component to all of this too, intervening in our realm? That is something also that Janine has been picking up, and we're trying to put her finger on it. Cliff seems to think it's just around the corner, looking at the data, but also the latest sightings here. We're getting the Pentagon that admitted just last week that they have these motherships that were dropping smaller drones around military facilities around the world. We just had another big sighting earlier today, same kind of situation. So what's the astrology for the ET component also?
That will come in full force when Pluto goes into Aquarius. November, so mid to end of November, all of December, January, February, March, April, when Pluto is in Aquarius at those first critical degrees. After the election, and we're done that whole,
What date did you say? Did you say what date? That alignment? The 4th?
When did I say the 4th?
Did you say November 4th? What did you say?
November 19th is when Pluto enters Aquarius.
Okay.
And it's going to be there for the next 20 years. But going into 2025, 2026, it's at critical degrees, 0 degree, 1 degree, 2 degrees. Its strongest expression. Okay. Aquarius rules ETs, outer space, UFOs, disclosure. Pluto gives power to whatever sign it's in and reveals the aspects of that sign. Right. So we're still at the end of Pluto and Capricorn. This isn't coming out yet. This isn't coming out yet until maybe next month or December, or maybe after this election, scenario.
Well, Cliff, when he did a whiteboard a couple of days ago, he had the next 6 months mapped out, I think up until March or April of next year. And he was describing how we went from this MK Ultra, or MK Ultra kind of war against the population up until now. That's failed, and now they're going kinetic. We're seeing it with the weather manipulation.
Right.
And he said the third phase was going to be this ET stuff.
Mhm.
And he said, if I'm going to guess, probably November, but most likely December or
Mhm.
into next year. So you
Yeah.
just said December also would make sense. So he has that also in one of his data sets there. So I thought that was interesting for timing. Huh.
That is really interesting. Yeah. I think the whole time period we're in now until Inauguration Day, it's going to be like still about the election, still about who's going to be the president, what exactly is going to happen, because it's very up in the air and forces not wanting the good guys to be in that position. So stopping at nothing to try to change
Mhm.
the scenario, right?
Mhm.
And they can try to steal the election all they want, but I don't know if you heard earlier in the live stream today, JC, I was saying, Pluto at the end of Capricorn is not Pluto at the beginning of Capricorn when Obama got in and everybody freaking bought that,
Right.
right? Not everybody, but a lot of people bought that.
Yes,
Right.
we can.
Yes, we can. Yeah, that's the dark side in power. Look at how we
Yeah.
manipulated them and we got the first Black president, and they think
Yeah.
we're at the end and they're barely going to be able to steal an election if they do. I'd be surprised if they do. I think it's more a scenario of Trump and Vance win,
Mhm.
and then it's the fallout of what that dark side is going to do with that. What do we do next?
Right.
Right?
How do you try to flip the
Do we
table?
try to figure out how to not certify
Yeah.
the election? Do we try to create,
Yeah.
civil war, world war, something crazy?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
did not have sex with that woman, Monica Lewinsky. I tried. Oh, Lakeside Laura, I tried. Lady, I feel your pain.
That's a good one.
Okay. Okay, that's the best Clemson I can do. Thank you. Lakeside Laura, I appreciate that. All right, guys, I gotta go. Hey, thank you so much. I'm sorry to crash your party there. Thank you for inviting me on.
We love it. Thank
I
you,
just wanted to
JC.
make sure everybody knew what's going on with the Trump Rogan interview. Hopefully, guys, stop emailing us. Sarah's still behind in some emails. So hopefully that answers at least that question, and we'll get back to work here. So enjoy the rest of the show, guys. Give Meg here a big thumbs up in the live chat if you like the show, and leave her a comment with all the great work and knowledge she's sharing with you guys. Thanks, Meg. I love you. Have a great weekend, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Awesome. Yeah, you guys are going la 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 la. Yes. So funny. We got to be able to make humor and crack jokes about everything that's going on, even though it is super wild and intense. So thank you so much, JC, for coming on and joining. That was very fun. And that's also Uranus, right? You guys, we're talking about Uranus. We're talking about unpredictability, things coming out of left field. JC just came out of left field and we just had some fun together. So awesome. Marie Jose, thank you so much for the super sticker. I love you so much, soul sister, and I love all of you. Thank you for, the tips, the likes, the shares, the subscribes. It helps us to get all this content out there and share the gift of astrology and the woo with everyone. So love you guys all so, so much. Thank you, MJ. So next thing I wanted to bring up with you guys is, so we've gone balls deep into the transits. We've talked about the transits. JC just brought some amazing content that we just brought up there as well. Now I want to bring up the chart of the USA solar return. We're then going to do just a little recap on the inauguration day chart. We'll look at Trump, Vance, Harris, and WALTZ's chart. And then I will do an overview of the predictions that I have made in total. Okay, you guys? So Digibean says, balls deep, Meg. That's a saying. That's a saying. I don't know if that's a my generation thing or a Canadian thing. Yeah, we say that sometimes. So, okay. I don't know, some of you guys might have already seen this past summer, I did a special Astro Deep Dive show on the 2024 solar returns for the United States and Canada. And for those of you who don't know, a solar return chart is the chart of our birthday, our astrological birthday. Excuse me, I just burped. Our astrological birthday is when the sun returns, solar return, to the exact same sign, degree, and minute as when we were born. So every birthday, we have a new solar return, okay? And our birthday chart every year shows us an extra layer of the cake, an extra layer of influences for the birthday year ahead. So as you guys have been hearing me talk about, there's so many different layers to the astrology. We got birth charts, we got transits, we've got solar returns, we've got lunar mansions, progressions, zodiacal releasings. We got so much stuff. But the solar return is very important. And I find solar returns to be very accurate interpretations through my own astrological practice and very important to look at. Okay. So some of you guys already heard me talk about this solar return for the US. I did a whole, I'll link it in the comments below, that Astro Deep Dive episode I did. But just want to do a little recap because we're talking about the US elections. This is I'm saying everything is so crazy because it is crazy transits. This is a crazy solar return. The USA's current solar return has an 8th house stellium, Sun, Moon, Venus in the 8th house with a Scorpio rising. With Pluto, one of the rulers of Scorpio, in opposition to Mercury, and Mars, the traditional ruler of Scorpio, conjunct the descendant and in an opposition to the rising. So the chart rulers in strong aspects. Scorpio is the theme. Pluto is the theme for the US. They're going through their Pluto return in the current transits, and the solar return has an 8th house of Scorpio, stellium, Scorpio rising, Pluto rules Scorpio. So just to recap, if you guys haven't gotten the gist yet, Scorpio is death, rebirth, change, things not staying the same. Okay. Scorpio also rules politics and people in power. So looking at the solar return, 8th house stellium with a Scorpio rising, Mars on the descendant, Pluto in opposition to Mercury, things are not staying the same. Things having to do with the country this solar return year will not stay the same. And what's one of the most important things that can happen to a country? An election. An election, right? Voting on the government, the current government. It will not be the same government. It will be a different group of people coming in. Again, it's showing all over the astrology that the Democrats and the people that have been in power will not win, will not be the group moving forward in power. Okay. So, Scorpio is the death to what was. Things not staying the same. Also, people dying. Somebody dying. A prominent person dying. So I really, really feel it's very, very likely that we could see Joe Biden die, lose his position of power. Of course, he's dropped out of the race, but major change, and even to the point of death of powerful people. Okay. And Scorpio is intensity, and we've already had this intensity. Right after the solar return, right after the birthday of America, Trump assassination attempt on the day of Mars-Uranus conjunct Algol, the demon star, which myself and a lot of other astrologers, because it's not hard astrology, said something very crazy and adverse is going to take place on that day, might even be assassination of somebody, right? So we've already been seeing this intensity. Want to share with you guys this tweet that Trump put out today. Did you guys see this? Cease and desist. I, together with many attorneys and legal scholars, am watching the sanctity of the 2024 presidential election very closely because I know better than most the rampant cheating and skullduggery. I love that word, the skullduggery, very scorpionic, that has taken place by the Democrats in the 2020 presidential election. It was a disgrace to our nation. Therefore, the 2024 election, where votes have just started being cast, will be under the closest professional scrutiny. And when I win, those people that cheated will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences, so that this depravity of justice does not happen again. We cannot let our country further devolve into a third world nation, and we won't. Please be aware that this legal exposure extends to lawyers, political operatives, donors, illegal voters, and corrupt election officials. Those involved in unscrupulous behavior, I love this wording, will be sought out, caught, and prosecuted at levels unfortunately never seen before in our country. Okay, I actually should have said that in more of a Scorpio way. Thank you, Goopa Stima, for the super chicken. Oh my God, I'm starting to lose my mind. For the super sticker. Thank you very much. Skullduggery. So I wanted to share this tweet with you because, like, not messing around, right? So wow, he's saying anybody that is going to try to cheat in this election. Oh my God, the Joe Rogan Donald Trump podcast just hit YouTube. Jody says so. It's out right now. Oh my gosh, don't leave me, you guys. Wait, wait until I'm done. Well, do whatever the hell you want to do. But yeah, I've still got some important things to share. So just wanted to share this because it's like, yeah, and it's reflective of people are going to be held accountable. The astrology is also showing people will be held accountable for what they're going to do. Okay, or what they're going to try to do. So I thought that was a really interesting tweet that he put that out, and very scorpionic. Also, I shared when JC was on screen that, you know, Scorpio and the scorpionic influence in this chart rules intense court hearings, the courts, investigations, the Secret Service. So over this solar return year, up until July, maybe even going past that, we are going to see historic court cases. The P. Diddy thing, trials having to do with this election, okay, and the truth and the sanctity of that, right? So this is having the country having a Pluto return with a scorpionic solar return and a Scorpio president. Joe Biden is a Scorpio. It doesn't get more intense than this. So buckle up. I hope you're already buckled up, because it's going to continue to be wild for a while, right? Also want to mention Scorpio rules hidden money. Big financial changes, ending to the financial system that was, new financial system coming in, secrets about the money system being revealed. The United States as a corporation. Mentioned that already. Crypto, precious metals, new forms of, you know, finances and values becoming the norm, new financial system. And interesting too that Trump put out, where is it? I have it here. Donald Trump claims there is a way to abolish federal taxes. America can live without them, he insists. So there's so much going on at the same time. I can't remember if this was today or yesterday. Trump announced publicly that he would like to abolish federal taxes. Ruled by Scorpio with a Pluto return and all this crazy Scorpio and the solar return. So, you know, what he's saying is in alignment with the astrology. Taxes, Scorpio is taxes. There could be an ending to taxes in the solar return year, or the start of the ending of taxes. Yeah, Laura says, exciting freaking times. Thank you, Rebecca, for the super chat. Love you. It's crazy how it all reflects in the astrology. Speaking of crypto, we have a great crypto course on the Beyond Mystic Academy crypto crash course with JSNIP4 and Coco level 1. There's going to be another level coming soon. And there's currently a discount code, JSNIP4, all in one word, expires November 1st. Use that to get 25% off. Awesome course for total beginners of crypto, because this is part of the future. And shout out to Litecoin Lisa, who we have in the chat. Go follow her channel as well. She knows all about the crypto as well. So lots of information, you guys. Am I overwhelming you guys? Let me know. I hope I'm not. I hope I'm making sense. It's a lot of energy. When you're like an intuitive, and I know you guys are feeling it as well, when you're like an empath or an intuitive, and there's big topics like this, there's big events like this, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of expectation. And yeah, so I hope I'm making sense with you guys, because I'm like really feeling it. Whoa, it's a lot of energy. I love that we've got in the solar return of the US, the Pluto in the third house. And Pluto in opposition to the Mercury. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, the third house. Whatever goes on election day will be revealed. Okay. So again, this is going to be an unpredictable situation, but the good guys are going to win. Okay. So whatever goes on election day, don't be disheartened, you guys, because it is all going to be revealed. Pluto in the third house, election houses, going in your local community to the election. It's all going to get revealed. So that's really, really good news. Another tense aspect, Mars conjunct the descendant. Okay. The descendant is an angle of the astrological chart. Mars is war, violence, anger, frustration. So Mars in opposition to Pluto in the transits, Mars conjunct the descendant in the solar return. It's like people are on edge and they're pissed off and they're frustrated, right? And things could go into a violent place, but remember, the stars impel, they don't compel, and there is divine intervention, so it doesn't have to go into that place. You guys are going to love what I'm about to say next. Okay, this is one of the things I found this, and I'm like, ooh, they're going to love it when I say this. So, love when you find little things like that. When you're an astrologer and you find these little things, it makes it all worth it, what I'm about to show you guys. So, first I'll show you the solar return of the US for this year. The midheaven, which is the top of the chart, the noon position of the sun in the sky, is Leo 27 degrees. The midheaven is the start of the 10th house. Politicians, presidents, the highest levels of responsibility, the areas of life of Capricorn. Being seen publicly, the most publicly seen people, presidents. I'm going to test you guys. There's not that many options, so you'll probably all get it. Who has a prominent placement around 27 degrees Leo, or exactly 27 degrees Leo? Let me know in the comments. Who's been studying their astrology? I'm going to take a sip of water. You guys got it. You guys got it. JBF Beauty Club, Soul Sister, congratulations. You guys all got it. Trump. Bam. Okay. Bam. Now, bonus question, and this is what's going to blow your fucking minds. Okay. Who else? And this is going to be for the hardcore astrologers out there. Who else has a major placement at exactly 27 degrees Leo? Trump has his rising 29 degrees Leo. Who's got something 27 degrees Leo? And this only, you would have only just written, Some of you guys are saying his name because you might be guessing it. And some of you guys might actually have looked it up because we only just got his birth time. This is going to blow your heads off. Vance. Look at this. Where's his chart? I've got so many freaking charts. Trump is a 29-degree Leo rising. Bam. Vance is a 27-degree Leo rising. You guys are right. So it's not that hard. All like these astrologers getting into all these crazy different layers, all these like freaking weird layers of the astrology. I found that Kamala has her Neptune conjunct the progressed, asteroid in the US chart. She's going to be the president. Like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Sorry. It's when you know the astrology, it's like you got to pay attention to the basic things. The midheaven, the top of the chart, is presidents, the most powerful people of the country. Trump and Vance, Leo risings, conjunct the midheaven. It's not that hard. They're going to win. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter if it gets delayed. It doesn't matter if the power grid goes down. It doesn't matter if it all looks like it's going to shit and oh my God, it's crazy. They're going to win. And that's, it's right there. It's right there. Plus, both of their charts are way better transits than Kamala and WALTZ. It's a joke. It is a joke. Like, let me just check. I've got so many charts. Let me just check. I've said everything I wanted to say. Oh, and you guys want to laugh? You guys want to have a good laugh? Okay, where's the solar return? Okay, here it is. I'm going to test you guys again. Who's got, Andy says, Meg, what about RFK Jr.? I did a whole video on RFK Jr. on my channel that you can check out. He'll likely, well, he's a part of the administration. He's going to be a politician. It's all over his chart. So he's a part of it. He's not going anywhere. Might be president in the future. Wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I talk about RFK Jr. in another video. What I'm going to ask you guys now, who has their Neptune conjunct the rising of the USA's solar return and in an opposition to the Mars on the descendant in the solar return and has a whole bunch of shitty aspects having to do with the solar return? Who do you think? It's not that hard. There's only one other person to say. Kamala. I love how Trump says it. Kamala. Yeah. Kamala. So the astrology doesn't lie, right? People that do, yeah, Sunny says, cami, poo-poo pants. Yeah, it's like, it's a joke. I keep saying that, but it's like actually a joke. Let me find, okay, there's Vance. Gonna win, not gonna win. Okay, Neptune on the rising of the US solar return with her sun in the 12th house. Is she going to jail? Is she going to hide away? Where is she going? With the moon conjunct Chiron, with Nothing going on with the midheaven with her Pluto-Uranus conjunction in the 10th house, but that's currently in an opposition to transit Saturn. So, yeah, it's over. And important to recognize, too, that the solar return happened the day before a new moon in Cancer that we had on July 5th. We had a beautiful new moon in Cancer on July 5th. Cancer rules countries. Cancer rules patriotism. New moons are new beginnings. Everything is showing the country is going into a new place. The old group will not be the group that wins, right? So, okay, we've looked at the transits. We've looked at the solar return. I already brought this up with JC. Inauguration day. I mean, it's just, you can't make this stuff up. Sun conjunct Pluto. Pluto rules powerful people and politics. Pluto direct in Aquarius, the future. We're moving into the future. It's not the old guard. Right? With Saturn, ruler of elections, ruler of governments, ruler of politicians, conjunct Venus. Venus exalted in Pisces. People are happy about something having to do with politics on the world stage. Okay, now we're at the 2-hour mark, and I'm just going to go through. Kamala's transits, WALTZ's transits, Trump's transits, JD Vance's transits, and I'm only going to share the most important things because it's like we don't have to get into every single detail. And, I'm going to share with you guys the things that carry the most weight. Okay. And we're going to start with Kamala. I love how Trump says her name. Kamala. We're going to start with her. So, we'll bring up her birth chart first. And I've been talking about Kamala for a while. If you guys follow my content, it's like not positive transits. It's like one of the worst transits I've ever seen in my life, honestly. So Kamala is a Libra. She's got her moon in Aries. She's got a Gemini rising. She's got multiple Gemini degrees. She's got a whole lot of Gemini influence, right? So she's all over the freaking place. I love the Geminis. I don't mean to diss you guys. Okay, but when you've got like all this Gemini and you're a Libra and a Gemini rising and your moon is in Aries and the aspects that she has, she doesn't even know who she is. And I'm not saying every Gemini is like that, just the combination of things in her chart. This is a person that they don't even know what's going on. They don't even know who they are. It might not even be the same person anymore. Like, what the hell is that? Jan Emily says Gemini, double personality. Yes, in the adverse side. Totally. So her birth chart is just all over the place. It's weird. It's weird. And she's not very likable because she's not strong within herself. She can be very easily influenced by others. As a Libra, Gemini rising with a lot of Gemini degrees and influence, and Sun exactly in opposition to her moon. So there's just a battle going on. It's just, she's all over the place, right? Interesting, she was born 17 minutes right before a full moon in Aries. We just had a full moon in Aries on October 17th, which was very adverse for her. Go look at my full moon in Aries video where I did the whole breakdown on that. And I said in that full moon in Aries video, because of the aspects to that full moon and how adverse it was for her, something within the next lunation cycle, So from middle of October to middle of November, something very dark secret is going to come out about her that can ruin her campaign or ruin her political career. And we're waiting for that T-minus any minute now. There's whistleblowers coming forward saying some kind of crazy thing is about to be released about her, right? So like some astrologers out there saying, oh, Kamala's going to win the election because Jupiter is in Gemini right now. And she's a Gemini rising. So that means she's going to win the election. Okay. You can have as much, you could have all these great aspects going on. But if you've got what Kamala had, like Jupiter in your rising sign conjunct your, okay, yeah, that's one of the most positive things you can have. But she's got transit Pluto in a T square to her sun and her moon. So transit Pluto square her sun, one of the most challenging things you could have. At the same time, transit Pluto square her moon, one of the most challenging things you can have. Transit Saturn in an opposition to her natal Pluto, one of the most challenging things you can have. And transit Saturn conjunct her Chiron, one of the most challenging things you can have. And that will be exact on election day in the 10th house of being a president. That's not strong. This is really adverse transits where honestly, I'm surprised that she's even in the position that she's in right now. And, I don't wish anything negative on anyone, but I think we're going to witness one of the most dramatic falls of a powerful person, if you will, through her. It's all going to fall apart, and she is falling apart. She's not a stable person. This is not a strong transit astrology to win becoming a president. Tim Waltz, we don't know his time of birth, so I've put the 12 p.m. chart. Aries sun, moon in either Capricorn or Aquarius. We don't have his exact time, so we don't know. But because he's kind of weird, I would guess moon in Aquarius. I love my moon in Aquarians out there, okay, but it can go any way. Empowering that his birthday, he had an eclipse solar return. So his last birthday was 2 days before the new moon total solar eclipse on April 8th. Aries rules leadership. So someone might go, oh, Tim Waltz he's going to become the vice president because his birthday was a eclipse solar return in Aries, and Aries rules leaders. You cannot escape the malefic planets. If you take anything away from my video today, other than my predictions of that Trump and Vance is going to win, and it's going to be the weirdest election ever, and there's going to be very unpredictable things that can happen. Okay. Please also take away, if you care to, you can do whatever the heck you want. Please also take away that you cannot escape the malefic planets. Pluto, Saturn, also Mars, also Neptune, but most of all Pluto and Saturn. If you've got challenging transits involving Pluto and Saturn, it does not matter what else the heck you fucking got going on. Okay? Drives me nuts. It does not matter that his birthday was 2 days before the solar eclipse. It does not matter that the transit sun is sextile his Pluto. Want to know what he's got going on? I have his transit chart like this. I didn't have time to put it in Astro Gold. Transit Pluto on his moon. Yikes. That's a hard one. That's a hard one. Secrets being revealed. Dark night of the soul. Mental instability. Issues with home and family. He's in a Saturn return. At the same time, Saturn in Pisces, he's also got, because he was born near Kamala, he's also got the transit Saturn opposite his natal Pluto, the transit Saturn conjunct his Chiron. Saturn rules being a politician and governments and elections. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Tim WALTZ right now. Like, this is weak. This is weak. These charts are weak. They are not strong. They are not strong. Transit Chiron conjunct the sun? Oh my God. You know, any one of these things is really challenging and adverse. Kamala and Tim Waltz have multiple of these adverse things happening all at the same time. Okay. Yeah. Crazy. Let's look at Trump. Okay, so when we look at Trump, this is one of the craziest charts I've ever seen in my life. Absolutely wild. So, Trump, he doesn't have any super adverse aspects with the malefics right now, with transit Pluto and Saturn. So even that right there makes it way stronger than Harris and Waltz. Out of anybody, Trump's actually got the best transits. Out of Kamala, Tim, Vance, Trump actually has the best transits. There are some challenging things. Okay, there are some iffy things. He's got transit Uranus conjunct Algol on his midheaven, square his Mars in the 12th house, assassination attempts. He's already had them and he will continue to have them. Unpredictability, possible health issues, possible accidents. Okay, but it ain't Pluto and it ain't Saturn. Okay, like what Kamala and Tim has is absolutely nutso. Right? He also had the September 18th lunar eclipse was in square to his natal sun. And that eclipse was in his 8th house. So Trump and Vance, because they're Leo risings at the degrees that they're having those Pisces eclipses, some of them in the 8th house, that's intense. That's intense life situations. But the thing about, and here's another thing I want to say about the malefic aspects or the malefic houses. So anything having to do with Scorpio, anything having to do with Capricorn, those guys, those houses, those planets. If you've been a good boy or a good girl, they're going to test you. It's not going to be easy, but it's not going to be like end of the world. Everything about you is going to be exposed and you're going to die and you're going to lose your position of power. They'll actually reward you. Right? So for some people with like Trump and Vance are having the eclipses in their 8th house, the Pisces eclipse that we just had September 17th in their 8th house, that's an influence for the next 6 months. If someone was really out of an alignment, eclipse in the 8th house is like a wake-up call, a near-death experience. Pluto's going to kick you in the ass. The 8th house will kick you in the ass. Trump and Vance, I'm not saying that they're angels, but they seem to be on the side of freedom. They seem to be, fighting the good fight. That can empower them. Right? So things work interesting in the astrology depending on, with the malefics, how you're being. It's different. It's all so unique depending person to person. He does have the South Node conjunct his Neptune, but it's nowhere near what Kamala and Tim have going on. Plus, on election day, transit Jupiter, even though he's in retrograde, will be exactly conjunct Trump's North Node in the 10th house, being a president, winning an election, and Jupiter conjunct his sun. So very favorable for him to win the election. Right? And his chart ruler is Jupiter because he's a Leo rising. His chart ruler is the sun, right? So the placement of his sun in his chart is very important. Transit Jupiter conjunct his sun, that's super, super positive for him. JD Vance, we have his time of birth now. So we've got his exact chart here. He's a double Leo. Leo sun, Leo rising. So woo, that's a powerful chart. Saturn in Scorpio, Mars in Scorpio, Pluto, 29 degrees of Libra. JD Vance has got a little bit more intense transits going on, okay? But he's also got really good stuff happening at the same time. So same as Trump, because his midheaven is 22 degrees of Taurus. Trump's is, I think, 24, 25 degrees of Taurus. He's also got transit Uranus on his midheaven, in square to his rising, in square to his Venus. So unpredictability, shocks and surprises, things not going as normal. Okay. Square his Venus, there could be something coming up with his wife that's challenging. I'm not wishing that upon him, just saying there could be some maybe issue with his wife that comes up. Don't know much about her. Her name's like Usha or something. What's her name, you guys? I forget. Some kind of issue going on with his wife, with Uranus square his Venus right now. He does, Vance does have transit Pluto square his natal Pluto exact. That is challenging. Okay, but remember, you guys, if you've been a good boy or a good girl or a bad boy, Pluto and Saturn will, they're either going to kick you in the ass if you've been bad and you've been really out of alignment, and they're going to expose you, drag you in the mud, or if you've been good, they're still going to initiate you. It's still going to be challenging, but it's not going to be like the end of the world, right? Transit Neptune square his natal Neptune. So he does have more challenging things than Trump at the moment. But really good things too. Remember, his rising is exactly conjunct the midheaven of the solar return of the US. So that's super powerful. Transit Jupiter trine his moon. Transit Jupiter in the 10th house of being a politician, being a vice president. Transit Sun conjunct his Saturn. Transit Saturn trine his Saturn. So Saturn that rules elections, governments, all in very good aspects. So if there was anything bad about Vance, I think it would have already come out, because he's got Pluto the revealer in square to his natal Pluto. It would have already come out. So I don't think we have to worry about that too much. So, okay, I think I've shared everything I want to share. Yeah, so my prediction is I think that Trump and Vance are winning the election. I think the result could possibly be delayed. We're still in Pluto and Capricorn until November 19th. So we're not fully moving into the future until after that. The dark side is going to stop at nothing to try to create chaos energy they can feed off of. It's very important we don't feed into that, right? Joe Biden, I think, might die before Inauguration Day, and Kamala would step in as temporary president. And yeah, strangest election in US history, weirdness, unpredictability. This is an ongoing situation. This election it's going to be an ongoing situation where I will be continuing to do the mundane astrology. You guys know I like to keep up with the political astrology. So before I finish up, I want to mention that my beautiful soul sister Carla at Ascension Organites, I don't know if she's still here, has her Divine Masculine sale over on ascensionorganites.com. All pyramids in this collection are 30% off. She's a beautiful Piscean wizard dress. So she's got that sale valid until November 4th. You guys can go check that out. And I almost forgot. Let's do just a little moment together in prayer if you feel open to that. I always like to start in gratitude. Thank you, universe, great mystery, so much for the gift of this day, for the free souls that we are and the gift of that, the gift of our free will, the gift of the United States of America. And we pray for the most loving, positive outcome on the side of truth and freedom for the highest good of humanity, for America, for this election. And we feel in our hearts and our bodies a beautiful outcome, a beautiful turn of events, divine intervention. We give permission for divine intervention in all ways for our highest good, divine assistance. And we visualize the USA coming together in harmony, in peace, the world in harmony and peace. And we recognize we're stepping into this as we enter the age of Aquarius. And we're so grateful to witness this journey, to be a part of this beautiful experience of being alive at this time. Thank you for all your support. And please hold us in protection, groundedness as we go about this time during the election. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, you guys are saying the Joe Rogan podcast is uploaded now. I'm going to go check that out. Love you guys so, so much. Thank you for joining me, whether you're joining live or the replay. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Meg Moonbeam and Beyond Mystic YouTube, Rumble, and X channels. If you'd like to have a personal astrology reading with me, those are available at the link in the description below. And I love you all so, 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 so much. And see you all very soon. Have a happy Friday, happy weekend. Mwah. Love you all. Bye.